Hey everybody, welcome back to the African Homestead. This is Eric. Hey, before I start today's video, I just want to show you, I'm really stoked about this. But I planted these. These are my cucumbers. Like I said in my previous video, we have some slicing cucumbers and some pickling cucumbers. And I don't know if any of you are like this, but whenever I plant, you know, I just always have this thing, what if it doesn't germinate? What if it doesn't come up? So every time I just get really excited when I see, hey, it's actually coming up. There's hope. This garden may make it this year. And so just wanted to share that little bit of excitement with you. This is my fearless lizard hunter, Layla. She will go into my potato greens and chase around through my papaya forest, going after lizards. That is her favorite pastime. And so that's what she does. She's our lizard hunter. She is half Rottweiler and half Labrador. And she's just a fantastic dog, even though she does like to tromp around in my garden. So in today's episode, I want to introduce you to some of the animals that we have here in our city farm, and you know, it's something we don't have to worry about. Neighborhood covenants and city codes. It doesn't matter where you're at. We're in the middle of the capital city, more than 1 million people living here, but we have a variety of animals here in our yard. And once we move into the interior, we're going to have a lot more. But so I want to introduce you to the animals, but first, I don't know if you can hear the goats crying in the background, but they are ready for breakfast. And so I have some of the sweet potato greens that we're going to feed to the goats and to the rabbits. And then Liberians love growing their cucumbers huge. And you know, for me, the seeds are hard and they're kind of bitter. And these, you can tell they're a little bit past their prime. So I'm going to cut these up and give those to the rabbits. I don't feed these heavily to the rabbits. I like to give them a little bit of variety, but sometimes the cucumber can give them a little bit of a problem with diarrhea, and rabbits are very sensitive, and if they get it too bad, it'll kill them. And then I have a friend who makes coconut oil, cold pressed coconut oil, and so this is actually the coconut cake from their pressing process, and there's more than he knows how to deal with. It's the same organization that did the Liberia Pure Honey that I showed you in a previous video. They also make an organic coconut oil that's sold here on the local market. And so I usually toss this in once a day for the chickens, break it up into a couple pieces and let them enjoy that. And the goats also like to jump on that and enjoy it. Something else I like to give my rabbits every now and then, it seems like every couple of weeks. If I had more of this, I would give it more often. And I really just keep it for when I have a doe that's pregnant or lactating, and once the kits get big enough and they're starting to wean, I'll also supplement with this. But I have some moringa here that I'm going to cut off. For whatever reason, the goats won't touch it, which is fine because the goats are just greedy and eat more than they should. But they don't like the moringa, but the rabbits really enjoy it. So I'm going to cut this one off, and as I showed you a while back, that it doesn't take long. This one I cut just a couple of weeks ago, and it's already coming back out. That one I think I cut the week before. And so just to give you an idea, once we get up country, that's what I keep saying, once we get into the interior, I'm going to have a lot of moringa. I'm going to have a lot of other things. Some of the other plants that the goats enjoy, banana leaf, plantain leaf, the banana and plantain skin, skin from different kinds of fruits like bananas, papayas, watermelon. I do limit that just because the sugar content is not the greatest for them, and so they enjoy it, but sometimes, you know, like you and me, I enjoy ice cream, but not too much. So those are some of the different things we kind of feed. We try to add variety to it. They do get the sweet potato greens pretty much every day. And we get that out of our garden. One thing I should mention, in an earlier video, I talked about top dressing that with pig manure, and it was not composted, it was fresh pig manure. And even though I'm still building my catalog, so I haven't posted the video yet, but I would suspect someone will comment with some concern about what about the bacteria, what about the possibility of diseases, getting illnesses that, you know, if we're eating that. But the potato greens, the sweet potato greens I'm growing in this garden are not for our consumption. This is what we're growing to feed the animals. And so we do have to supplement it with some that we buy in the market. Again, in the future, when I have more space, I'm going to be growing all of my own food for my animals, and hopefully all of the food for my family. And so we'll be using a lot more composted manure, composted materials at that time to make sure it's safe for our consumption, that we don't have any problems with E. coli and other bacteria and other diseases coming from fresh animal manure. Okay, here, ouch. See that, fire ants? Man, those guys hurt. All right, take two. Here is the our animal cornucopia ready to feed. And so just wanted to introduce you. We've got our rabbits here in our hutches. You can hear the goat crying. I have one of the employees that works for me. He likes to say that this goat can spoil a man's name. I can feed this goat, and within 20 minutes, she's crying again. And so it seems like just when she's not eating, she's complaining. And we do have a young billy goat that has not picked up that habit, so hopefully he won't. Hopefully her offspring won't have this problem. You can see my vicious hunting dog here loves to play with the goat. And actually, when the goat gets out, I mean, they're like a couple of puppies running around, because they just chase each other in circles and run around like crazy. And it's actually hilarious to watch. But anyway, that's off subject. So you can see this is one of the males. These are some of the first ones that we got. This is our first offspring, and I just identified her as F0002. And I figured I need that many digits as quickly as these rabbits can reproduce. And so there's F0003, another female. And so at this point, I keep 2 bucks and multiple does. And this is the young buck. He's not too big yet, but I know rabbits can reproduce multiple generations. And after some time, they can lose some of their vitality. I'm standing in the fire ants again. They can lose some of their vitality and start having problems with smaller litter sizes and things like that. So what I'm trying to do, and again, it's just an idea out of my head. I'm the type of person, it's like, if you have an idea, let's try it, see if it works. So what I'm gonna do is breed the first generation. The second generation will be with a different male. The third generation, so the grandchildren, will be with the grandfather. And just skip a generation like that and see how that works. And then if needed, then we can go ahead and get, you know, another unrelated buck to bring in after a while if we have any issues with too much inbreeding. But I think having those totally separate lines and skipping a generation should work okay. We'll see. Okay, I want to introduce you to our goats. These are a type of West African pygmy goat. As you can see, I'll try to stand beside her, give you an idea how big she is. So not real tall. I'm in West Africa, so these are the goats we have. There are some goats that people bring down from Mali, which are a much taller goat, and they're not as common in Liberia. This is the most common goat. You see it all over the place. Some people keep sheep. It just depends on preference. Sheep, they say, are less destructive, less noisy, less trouble. But with these goats, our hope is that our young billy goat here will breed with her. She's probably she's close to 3 years old now, and so she should have bred already. And when she breeds, then we're going to start milking her. You can find milk goats in other parts of West Africa, but that's one thing that's interesting in Liberia. When you present the idea of milking a goat, people just look at you like, are you kidding me? Milk a goat? Seriously? I mean, it is a total foreign concept here. But it's, you know, the people who milk goats, you know, it can be a fantastic milk. It's a nutritional milk. One thing that we're looking at that we're really excited about is because it's so easily digested, it can be given to newborn babies. Maternal mortality rate in Liberia is very high compared to global maternal mortality rates. We also have, and again, it's something in the water, lots of twins, lots of triplets. And if the mother doesn't have good nutrition and she's not able to produce enough milk, or if the mom dies during or soon after childbirth, formula, if it's available, if you can find it, and in the interior you won't. When you leave the city, you won't find formula. But if you can find formula, it's very expensive. And for most people, it's prohibitively expensive. And so the babies suffer, they get sick a lot more often. I want to say that this isn't the recent statistics, but when we came to Liberia, it was like 25% of children didn't make it to the age of 5. And so this is something we see as a great opportunity to help if we can set up some ways to produce safe goat's milk and then provide that to babies who either lost their mom or a mother of multiples who's not producing enough milk. She can supplement with goat's milk. It's a great opportunity here. And so that's one thing we're doing. Honestly, I know of one other organization in the entire country of Liberia. There's 4.5 million people here. One other organization that is milking goats. That's it. And so we're really excited about this opportunity. All right, so in the couple minutes I took to film that last section of the video, they ate all the potato greens and they're gonna start crying here pretty soon. So let me move on. Here we have, this is the first male. And this is the first female. So this is the first breeding pair, and all the other rabbits have come from there. As you can see, the kits that we have here are pretty lively. If you look up, you can see there's just a little gap that the carpenter left at the top of that cage. This is the second litter now where the kits, once they get big enough, they start jumping over that little gap. And so that's what we have here. And one of the problems with the, again, quality of the materials, we use this wire mesh here for the rabbits, and after a few months the wire mesh starts to rust out, and then you'll end up with a situation like this where you're at risk of the, here, let me open this up, you're at risk of the rabbits falling through. And so it seems like every 6 months I have to replace this wire mesh. And at this point, other than building them out of bamboo, which is really dark and the rabbits are not very visible. Here's a previous litter that they're big enough now. I'm going to separate them, but you know, it's one of those things that all these I need to replace the bottoms in. So we've been putting plywood in, which causes some sanitary issues, but at least it keeps them safe. Rabbits' bones break very easily, and so a fall from here possibly could break a leg, and then, you know, there's no recovering from that. And then the final animal we have here on our city farm are the country chickens. These are like the Heinz 57s of African chickens. They are just a mix of a variety of different things. The eggs they produce are half the size. I mean, I would call, you know, compared to a grade A large, they're definitely half the size. The meat they produce is tough. It's like chicken jerky when you're eating it. I'm looking at bringing in an incubator and a couple dozen eggs, probably some Rhode Island Reds, because we enjoy the eggs a lot. We don't eat the chickens as much for meat. At this point, we're buying the meat. I think that with the Rhode Island Red, you know, we'll be able to use those as a dual purpose. But the main thing we're going to use them for is to have fresh eggs, and we're really excited about having bigger eggs, and the quality of the eggs are going to be so much better than what we can find in the local market here. And then we're going to have a big giveaway party for all these country chickens. All right, I'll get you some more greens. Come on, guys. One thing I am going to change when I'm hoping to transport this chicken coop to the new location, because the roofing on it is actually some epoxy coated steel roofing from the States, and so it's been here 7-8 years now. It's got not a touch of rust on it. We live on the coast, and it has no rust on it at all. So it's a high quality steel roof. And I walked over here, I'm standing in the fire ants again. And so, but one thing I am gonna change is when I first built this, just I think out of convenience, I put the rabbit hutches hanging up inside the chicken coop. And it's nice when it rains that they're all in there together, the animals can stay dry. The downside is all the rabbit droppings drop down into the dirt floor, and then the chickens go around and scratching around, and I lose a lot of that manure that way. One thing I've noticed that on the hutches that I built on the outside, actually we're able to collect this every day or two. It stays nice and dry out of the rain, and we have a little bit. This is about a week's worth of manure in this rice bag, and so we're able to collect that. And then again, the nice thing about rabbit droppings, have the freedom to incorporate the rabbit droppings into the compost, but we're not forced to. You know, unlike other types of manure, it's not super hot. It can go directly into the garden, directly on the plants. And so as our growing season continues, that's one thing I'm going to do, is start using these directly in the garden and not mess around with composting all these droppings. You know, as far as water for the rabbits, I actually use a variety of different containers. I'm just trying to see what works best. I want to produce rabbits in a way that is reproducible here in Liberia. So getting the type of water feeders, animal pellets and things like that, what you would find in the developed world, you won't find here. And so I'm trying to find what's the best way to use a simple water feeder that we can produce here. Cutest little girl. Yeah. Hey, there's Mom.